Rupunzel. There was once a poor man and woman who lived in a tiny cottage in the woods. Every year they worked hard, tending their garden, but their land was small and the soil was rocky. They could grow barely enough food to feed themselves. Their cottage stood next to a witch's castle. The castle grounds were filled with lush gardens and orchards. The garden grew more food than the witch could eat, and every year the man and woman watched the vegetables rot on the vines. One day, the man could stand it no longer. He crept over the garden wall and filled his sack with peas and squash, potatoes, and corn. Just then, a voice called, "Drop those vegetables." The man turned and saw the witch looming over him. "You won't get away with stealing from me. When your first child is born, you must give the baby to me," said the witch. "Is he a boy?" A year went by, and a daughter was born. To the man and his wife, they named her Rupunzel and kept her hidden in the cottage. The man read stories and played games with her. The woman made up lullabies and sang them to her night and day. The witch watched the cottage from her castle. One day, she heard the woman singing lullabies, snorted the witch. The witch crept up to the cottage and peeked. In the window, there she saw the baby, Rupunzel. "A child?" shrieked the witch. Before the man or woman could stop her, the witch snatched Rupunzel from her cradle. The witch carried Rupunzel to her castle and locked her inside chambers were dark and lonely. But as the years went by, Rupunzel grew into a lovely girl, well-mannered and bright. Rupunzel was so bright, she began asking questions. Why are the windows covered so we can't see out?" asked Rupunzel. "What is beyond that big door?" The witch would not reply, but she knew that Rupunzel would try to find her own answer to these questions. So she led Rupunzel to a tower deep in the wood. The tower had no doors and no stairs. The only opening was one small window. High above the ground, the witch locked Rupunzel inside. Each morning, the witch brought food to Rupunzel. She called up, "Rupunzel, Rupunzel, let down your hair." Rupunzel would bend her head and out the window and let her hair tumble down. It was so long it reached to the ground, so strong. The witch was able to climb the shiny locks up to the window. Rupunzel was very lonely. In the tower, she sang familiar lullabies to pass the time. One day, a prince from a nearby kingdom heard Rupunzel singing and followed her voice to the tower. The prince realized that the song was coming from inside, but he could not find a way in. He listened to the enchanting music, hoping to see whose voice filled the woods with song. Then he saw the witch creeping through the woods. The prince heard her call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The prince watched it in amazement as the shiny golden locks dropped down to the ground. She is by far the most beautiful creature on earth," he said. The prince waited until the witch was gone. Then he called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel let down her hair, expecting to see the witch again. When the prince climbed into view, Rapunzel gasped. "Don't be afraid," said the prince. "I heard your beautiful lullabies and wanted to meet you." The prince was the most handsome thing Rapunzel had ever seen. The two fell in love immediately. Rapunzel knew that with the princess' help she could leave the tower. The prince climbed down Rapunzel's hair, then caught her as she leaped to freedom. They set off for the princess' kingdom. They passed a small cottage, and Rapunzel heard a familiar lullaby. They saw an old man and old woman inside the cottage. "Your songs are lovely," Rapunzel told the woman. "I sang them to my daughter," Rapunzel said to the woman. Rapunzel hugged the man and woman. "I am Rapunzel," she said. "I have escaped from a witch." Rapunzel sang the lullabies in a full, joyful voice. "These songs have led me back to you," said Rapunzel.